Hey, my beautiful people. I'm excited about today's conversation with the darling Betty. So we're going to wait a while until we find her to go ahead and join us. There she is. And today's topic, if you guys were paying attention, we are speaking about growth. So as soon as, there we go, Betty joins in. Hey, darling, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm excited about our talk today.
So am I. So am I. I almost put on my workout clothes because I thought that was going to be more appropriate, but
Okay, so I actually got dressed today because I was like, I know Betty's not gonna have on workout clothes, and
I
then
almost did. But then I was like, but I know Tracy's going to have her makeup done, so I'm showing up. I'm showing up.
that's right. Okay, so we were on the same page because
Yeah,
I was like, I got home in time. I was like, all right, no clients right now. Let me clear my schedule and go ahead and get dressed. So I
yeah,
actually was. I said, let me get on Betty's level right now. So to tell everybody that I was inspired by. And I'm gonna throw Betty out there. Post that she made. But Betty is she can tell your story. She's a stroke survivor, as I am. But I was inspired by a post she put out talking about growth. And the reality was, what really caught me as it was talking about. It was just a statement that you made, was says as, and I'm going to interpret it as how I took it as. We are adults. As adults, we don't really look at growth in our life. We say, okay, children are to growth, because in reality, as you define growth, okay, growth is in the definition as a child birthing into this growth in this physical stage of
yeah.
advancement. But as adults, and then I'll even take it back a step further, as stroke survivors, in reality, what happens with the disconnection of our brain, we go back into childlike mode or infancy. So therefore, we are now a child, and we have to now look into new ways to perceive our growth, and being able to really adapt to that is huge on what we have to, and it all plays a part of our mental state or whatnot, and our beliefs of what's going on with our body. So with that being said, Betty, what inspired you about this post? Like, what made you write the post, or what were your thoughts in writing this post?
Absolutely. So I've been talking about being a stroke survivor. This is my fourth year, and it has been a journey. So part of my journey was I would tell myself to go outside to take my daily walk, and I'm like, that gets boring after a while, right? Because you can't walk very fast, and you're just doing the same routine. So I was like, well, look for nature's reflection. And there was this bush, and there was only one flower on this bush. And it made me think of how I felt at the time. I felt alone. So I was like, okay, I'm the only little flower on this bush, but I was like, this flower still has purpose. Like, it's the nectar to, the bees come to the flower, right? So you might feel alone, but you still have purpose. Fast forward a year later, I'm taking my same walk. I look at this same bush, and this year there's all these flowers on it. And I was like, wow, like, we don't have to look like we looked last year. We can grow. So growing, I think as stroke survivors, we get so discouraged, right? Because there's deficits there. We're told we're never going to be able to work. We're never going to be able to run. We're never going to be able to do all these things. And if you sit in that belief, where do you go, right? So it's like, but I can't. As soon as we start saying I can't, it's like, okay, forget all that. What can I do?
I
And
love
so I start looking at my situation. What can I do? I can't work 40 hours physically, mentally, any of that. But what can I do? So I just went on this journey of growing, and I've grown more since my stroke than I really was growing year to year as an adult, because I didn't have to grow then. So going back to talking about being a kid, when we're kids, we can't wait till I'm 5 because I go to kindergarten. Then when you're 10, you're like, I'm double digits, you know, and then you're 16 and I get to drive, then I'm 18. So we're celebrating these milestones, and as adults, we stop celebrating. So I'm like, let's celebrate all these small wins. You know, you walking in stilettos. I'm like, hello, I want to get there. But that's a win and it should be celebrated. So like step back and say, where have I started? Where am I going? And where do I want to go? And there's so much growth in that.
That's awesome. And I mean, just in turn, we could even break down every piece of that you said, like you went through the ages and the steps.
Yeah.
And for those who may be joining this call, if you don't know the steps of a recovering survivor, we literally, after we've had brain disconnect and everybody's level is something different, we literally are truly back in infancy mode, and we have to learn. So how she broke down and says, you from a child, you can't wait till you get to 5 years old, and you can't wait till you get to 10 and 16. Guess what? As a survivor, reality, we can't. Our 5-year-old self is getting up out of the bed. We can't wait till we get out of the bed. Then the next progression from getting out of bed, we can't wait to now they say, hey, you can put yourself in a wheelchair, to maybe walking on the cane, to maybe walking down with the limp. So these are our growth spurts. As we're our 5-year-old stage is out of the bed now. Our out of the bed now stage is, hey, now we may be pushing ourselves in a wheelchair. From there, we may be now walking on the cane. From a cane situation, okay, now we got to a situation where you may be holding the cane in your hand, but now we have to figure out how to really step the correct way. And how to really step the correct way really plays a part in how you're thinking about your mind, because we may be stuck in the thought process of, hey, prior to this stroke, I was running fast, so I was walking very fast, or I had a pretty sway, or pretty, whatever the case may be. You may get stuck in those moments, but we got to really, so the thing is, if we get stuck in those, it's good to be stuck in those moments, but it's not good, because we get stuck in those moments, we may stay in that place, and then those mental barriers begin to become a burden to us. So a childlike mentality is good in a sense. It kind of sounds crazy, but it's good in a sense to have, because if you think about children, when they're doing things and learning things, they're not thinking about everything else in the world. It's just like, boom, I went to grab this bottle, oh, they dropped, and then you look at the adults and everybody praising the child around like, oh my gosh, they're holding their bottle now. Nobody really praises the survivor as, hey, they're walking without the cane now. So it's our own, we have to figure out ways to praise ourselves. Hey, we're walking without the cane. But at the same time, we may look at that as progression, but if we keep staying in our head, that's not progression, because we may go back to where we were last year and say, okay, yeah, I'm walking without the cane now, but last year I was running. So all of these things play a part in it. So we have to really figure out how to dissect it and not be such a burden on ourselves, to accept, as Betty was saying, to accept those things as these learning curves and the progressive curves is, yes, it may not happen. And again, so it goes back to the thought I was saying, we need to accept that childlike mentality, as a child isn't worried about, oh my gosh, at that age, yes, when they get to 5 and 6, 7, they can't want to be adult. But at that age, when they're learning how to crawl, they're not thinking about, oh my gosh, I can't wait till I'll be able to take those 15 steps faster. Things like that is what I'm trying to say. Like, we have to learn to accept those things, the places of where we are, and really enjoy how Betty said, one day there was one rose, she goes back and walking the same path. There's a blossom of roses. So right there, that blossom is every day that we're doing something. So small progression we have, that's our blossom. We have these blossoming phases that we go through. So as we learn to accept those, we'll get better. We'll get better in the sense of our recovery, in the sense of how we look at things versus I'm not there, or I'm not where I used to be. It's about accepting and learning how to love ourselves in where we are now in this new norm. But growth in itself is just a beautiful thing. If we really sit back and look at the picture of what growth is, it's a beautiful thing. I'm going to let you talk.
No, and I wrote down a few things as you were talking, but think about this. If I would have stopped taking those walks because I felt like I wasn't progressing enough, I would have missed seeing that bush. I would have missed seeing the growth, right? And I think to myself a lot, like, I think I walk around my apartment in the same way. And I'm like, they're probably looking out their window like, this crazy lady's been walking for 3 years. She still has that brace on. I don't walk with my cane when I walk out there, but it's like, it doesn't matter what it looks like. I know what's going on. I know what's different, right? And if you stay like a child, children are fearless. That's why they jump into swimming pools.
Yeah.
They touch hot things. They do a lot of things that we don't want them to do. But why? Because they're not scared.
Not scared.
If we can go back to tapping back into some of that fearlessness, and they're also curious. They're so curious because the world is brand new. And for us as stroke survivors, I had to let go of who I was before my stroke. I started over, period, right? So I'm 4. And it's like, but I can make progression and I can change and I can grow. But me trying to be who I was before, I would set myself up for failure there. And then I start looking at it. We think, oh, I love my life. Okay, yeah, but what would you have changed about your life? I was driving the other day. People are trying to get to work. They're in back-to-back traffic. I'm going to the park. I'm going to walk, right? And I'm like,
That's true.
yeah. So it's just like, my life has changed, but I'm looking to create a better life. Like, I don't want to sit in traffic. I don't want to work 40 hours and be stressed out and, you're not enjoying your day-to-day life. And I have the opportunity to slow down and enjoy this new life that I'm building.
So I like that. So I'm gonna take what you were just saying now as your growth spurt is loving who you are now without back into that mode of where you were before. And it really takes me to the point of that you never really, and not to say that you never really embraced, but this right here is teaching you how to embrace the now, embrace life now. So things that you didn't think about before, as that you actually look at. And that reminds me of a talk that I had with Greg, I believe last week. He was just saying about things that he appreciates now in life. So even if you're not a survivor, it's just showing you to appreciate life in different ways. So things that we had to go through to now get to the point of appreciation. So we don't want, and look at it as a learning curve, as people that are on here, we don't want you to have to go through something to therefore now say, hey, now I'm figuring out how to love and enjoy life again. So I had to have this tragedy happen to step back. We need to figure out ways to now, like, if we all step back and looked at our life right now to analyze what's going on, like, where is it there? Like, where in your place now can you grow? And that's not, and like I said, I made the statement as growth in itself is physical in all manners, because it's the mental growth and it's the outward growth. So it's a physical being of growth. So where I was even yesterday, a thought process that I may have had yesterday, hey, I got time to do this, or I don't have time. So like, even just all those little things that we never put into context, as every new thing that we learn, every new step that we take, all these changes has to do with growth. So what can we learn from this to grow from here in every situation, as you're accepting this growth as, hey, now I'm a survivor and I'm learning to love life. And it's a great thing to look at. And some people, like a lot of people may say, oh my gosh, that's so horrible. You had to, and spiritual girl, I love that. Somebody said that's so horrible that you had to go through these things. Now you're a survivor. Guess what? It is horrible because you had to go through these whole phases. And I always take it back to the frustrations of being an adult and have to step back into infancy mode. Really, it's tiring on a person's mind. And it's the battle of me. I'm going to say it's always a battle of faith. Thank God I had the faith, and to continue to push. So it comes with the battle of where you are in your mind and where you are in your place in life, to that you can figure out how to hone in on enjoy and accepting your now, and accept it to figure out ways to love life. So therefore you don't be stuck in the situation as, I hate this happened to me, and Why? And it also takes me to the thoughts that people say, oh, why are you not, oh, woe is me, and why are you not complaining? Why are you always so positive about the situation? I mean survivor, I mean life. Do you
Right.
understand that stroke is the like top 3 of taking lives around the country right now? The number one debilitating factor. Guess what? Myself or Betty, you can't tell that we're stroke survivors without telling you so.
Right.
Is that we're able to sit here and talk about this and help encourage other survivors that are like and when I say that, like-minded, that we totally feel where you came from or what you're going through, but we're trying to teach you and trying to encourage you and give you ways, and that's what we're doing these things, to give you ways to understand there's more life to this in spite of what we went through, and these are ways that we're learning how to live and ways that we're learning how to embrace these things and grow at the end of the day. So all of these things, it's about learning to perceive where you are now, taking it to the next level of really, at the end of the day, the whole thing is going to be about learning to accept this and growing from here, growing from whatever stage you are in life, growing from whatever stage you are in life to now get better and accept life in the way that you've been, in the way that you are now.
Exactly. And one thing that I was thinking about, like, I'm not going to dismiss anybody's feelings of this is hard, this sucks, like, why did this happen to me, right? Allow yourself to have that. Allow yourself to go through grief, because you're grieving what you lost. There truly is a loss, right? However, it's like, where are you going? Where are you going to be next year? If you were sad this time last year, then where do we need to go, right? And one thing that I was thinking, like, a lot of times we rely on family to help us. They're not equipped. I'm just going to put it that way. Our family is not equipped to take us through grief, to help us grow. They're just not. They're going to do the best that they can, but we have to take ownership of where we're at and where we want to go. And there's one other thing. Don't be scared to ask for help. And that, I just said, your family can't help you, but don't ask for help, right? So wait a sec. So it's like, your family can help you to a point. However, you're a personal trainer, okay? That's someone you can reach out to outside of your little circle or big circle or whatever it is. If you want to be better physically, Tracy is that person. I watch you day to day, and I'm like, walking up these hills at the park, I'm like, Tracy, one day I'm going to run this hill, right? Like, but Tracy's a personal trainer. I went to school to be a life coach. Survivors are doing things where we can help our community, you know, finding other people to connect with and join with. And it's like, I loved how you talked about growth spurts. So my son, he's 15. He wants to be like 6'3", okay? He's 5'9". Every time he comes over, he's like, measure me, mom. Measure me, mom. And I measured him, and his hair's curly. So I tried to get it straight, but I kind of went like this. Well, he thought he was taller. And then I redid it, and I was like, yeah, no, sorry, son. He was so sad that he did not grow this much, okay? Celebrate your growth spurts. You know, going back to the beginning, I couldn't take a shower. My niece came and showered me. Do you know how humbling? This baby, I changed her diapers. And now she's showering me, doing my hair, shaving my legs. Yeah, it's humbling. So when you can take a shower by yourself, that is something to celebrate. That's a growth spurt. When you notice, like, you know what? I went 5 hours and I wasn't tired.
Yes.
Is a growth spurt. Like, all these little things that will add up, and then all of a sudden you look around and life starts looking different. So good stuff.
I was gonna say it was something that's what I wrote down, but it'll take me to another topic. Something you said
Okay.
in relation to shucks. Oh, okay. So you were talking about, so don't look for your family to get, because, and so that's what you said. Yes, you be humble enough to accept the help, but at the same time, don't expect your family to understand. So that's what I wanted to touch base on. And that's a huge thing, because of the reality is they don't, and that comes into play as if you have not really gone through this, they don't really understand. And it's not that they're not supporting you, they really can't understand. And so a lot of survivors that I'm working with, I'm trying to tell their families, it's not, and everybody may not be in this mode, but it's not that they're really not trying to, they don't want to. It's
Right.
go through all these mental emotions, and I would say emotional phases of depression is an all-time high. And if
Yeah.
you don't find something to hold on to, something that you love and something that pushes you and keeps you going, that can make you might be up running and dancing today, and something hit thought or something hits you in the next hour, and you're down and you're stuck in your room for a week.
Right.
So that right there, I'm telling families to pay attention to that. Like,
Right.
even though they may not be able to express what it was that happened, but it's an altering that really is out of their control at most of the time. So don't give up on them. We got to figure out ways, but at the same time, telling the survivor it's not their fault that they don't understand. Because in reality, right, some of the times we quite don't understand. Like, what the hell? Like, we'll have these thoughts that we're doing. So it's like, why do I feel down right now?
Right.
And I always say it's the disconnection of the brain, that something else just got disconnected or something rewired itself again to say, hey, that's why you're feeling like that again. But I'm a person that I figure out ways to keep going. And to say that I always use myself, not everybody has that. So sure, it's a process that people have to learn to figure out, hey, what's going to keep you going? What's going to keep you motivated? So really, if we look at in our relation of topic today is growth spurts, we look at ways to grow. So if you find yourself in any sense that you have these moments that you're constantly getting down and constantly having these that you can't quite understand, even if that reminds me of, what do they call it, the vision board, as even that may be something, that may be something great to challenge survivors as, hey, let's build this vision board. And the reason I will say build this vision board as vision board of growth for ourselves. So yes, you're here right now and you mentally or physically may not be where you want. This vision board to say, hey, and you have these moments that you're just feeling down and don't know how to get yourself out of the next step. Build this vision board that you can go back and look at it to say, guess what? This is my growth chart. This is where I was, this is where I'm going, and this is where I perceive to take myself. So if you have that right there, it's perceiving to take your mind into a different place to get you out of that, drought that you're in right now. We need something to keep us pushing, something that we can look forward to. So if you don't always have it mentally look forward to, something physical right there may help you. And I just thought about that. Something physical right there may help you to get yourself to the next step, to help you to, it's really, and I am going to post that. I think that's actually a great idea for us to challenge ourselves to create this vision board. And our vision board could be growth. This vision board of growth, as in perceived steps that we want to take, where we want to take ourselves day by day, year by year, month by month. What do you see yourself? Because in reality, a year ago today, we didn't know we would be in this position, but guess what? I'm not where I was. Right. So I'm further along. So that was my growth. I don't believe I could necessarily think about the year ago, this time, where I was saying I was at, but I know for a fact that there is definitely growth that happened and took place in my life. So it's all a great thing in the sense.
And a year ago, almost to the day, like July 9th, I got my brain surgery a year ago.
So, and look today.
Hello?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
So like you said, if you didn't know I was a stroke survivor, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know a year ago I was preparing for brain surgery, and it's crazy what's happened over this last year. And remember, growth is not just physical, it's mental, it's spiritual, it's emotional, it is physical. it can be financial, it can be all these things. So I love that challenge of doing a vision board. If you can't have it today, what do you want? Because when we get clear on what we want, we start heading in that direction. And it's all these little small steps to get you to where you are today. So a year ago, I didn't know I was going to do life coaching. I didn't decide that until January, right? So a year ago, I could have said, poor me, my brain's been bleeding for 3 years. Now I have to do surgery. That's going to set me back. The bounce back is something like what, but it's mental. If I would have given up, I wouldn't have ever seen that surgery happen. If I would have gave up, I wouldn't be sitting here with you today. And believe me, there were days that I was like, yeah, this is it. This is a no-go. I want to say no, you know, and we sit here and we smile and all of those things, but no, there has been tears. There has been heartache. There has been pain, but there's proof with us sitting here that there's life beyond that pain, and you can find purpose and you can be that light for somebody else. Now, when I talk to people that are in their year 1, I know what that's like. When I hit year 2, I did a video of myself and I sat there and cried because I couldn't believe it had been 2 years and I was still walking with my limp and I was still not where I wanted to be, not knowing that year 3, I was going to have brain surgery so we can stop the bleeding. Then now year 4, no bleeds. I don't have to worry about that. I'm planning my life, right? But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I would have gave up when it was really, really hard.
Yeah.
But I love the vision board. I love like listening to motivation. Watch what you're listening to, what you're taking in, because if you're already in a low place, if you're listening to things, the news, okay, let's just say that, if listen, where are you going to be? Like mentally, you're going to get lower, lower, lower. Music, what music are you listening to? Are you listening to sad songs all day? Or are you listening to something that gets you going, that is going to bring energy, vibration, like just healing, growth, you know? So all these little things really do add up, and we're proof. We're proof that you don't have to be where you were.
It's hope that you can keep pushing. There's growth. Tomorrow is making it to tomorrow. There's growth in some type of way.
Absolutely.
Today is definitely going to be different tomorrow if you just keep believing and keep pushing yourself for faith.
Yeah. And
that's awesome.
For the beauty, like look for the beauty in, if you don't feel it in yourself. A lady reached out to me and she's like, I'm struggling mentally. I'm like, okay, that's how you feel. Start looking outside of yourself. If you see, go to the park, if you see a family playing, that's beauty. Like look for beauty outside of how you feel right now. And then all of a sudden you'll start feeling better. So as long as you don't give up, it's like, just don't give up. Hang on. Like,
do not.
Like I said, sometimes it's a.
Could have gave up, we wouldn't be here. You're 4 years post. I'm 3 years post.
Yeah.
You went through the things I went through. We're not, and even still today, we're not giving up. And our goal is encouraging others. Do not give up. Like you said, you know, you would be a life coach right now. 3 years ago, honey, I was only really focusing on bodybuilders and athletic. Now my program is being based around helping survivors recover and regaining their independence.
Oh.
So it's just the beauty of the things that where we are. And so look at that. That's my growth. Your growth being, okay, now in the midst of where you were and where this path has taken you, now you regain, now you are a life coach. My growth in the sense says now, okay, I'm still doing this health and wellness and teaching people in the sense of making it. That's why I always say God is so funny. With my motto has always been make it a lifestyle. And it was making a lifestyle with this big fitness barrier as making a lifestyle. Let me transition you and take you to the place you want to make it a lifestyle at your level of what you want. Guess what? As far as with recovering survivors, I'm still teaching them and training them the same way to figure out now how to make it a lifestyle and where they are. So where their level of recovery, where their level of their goals they're trying to get themselves to. So they're in the same sense as, so I say that to say God is funny in a sense, but it's great because I have not really changed. He just added another addition that say, Tracy, your motto has always been make it a lifestyle. So now I need you to step into this arena to help other survivors make it a lifestyle, to transition themselves out into learn how to grow from where they are.
Yes.
So and listen, I don't want to keep this too long, but we just gonna have to do this again because this would have been too long. I always try to stay around 30 minutes. But Betty, I absolutely thank you. I'm excited about this. So we gotta talk about doing this vision board for survivors. And not even just for survivors, for everybody. A vision board of growth. That's what we need to create. A vision board of growth.
I love it. All right, Tracy.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll talk to you.
Okay. Bye-bye.